personally have struggled with mental health issues for a big part of my life. And when I was struggling, we didn't really have much information about what it was. So we didn't really know how to handle it properly.
No, I get where you're coming from. Like, I've seen so many of those posts, gym is my therapy, or my dog is my therapy, or travel is my therapy. It's a part of it. Where the crisis level is really high, or it's in situations where you feel like, मेरे से हो जाएगा, like, why should I open my dirty laundry for other people? So when you're already not convinced about seeking support, paying like 1,500, 2,000, it can go up to 4K also for a session becomes
okay for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
People don't have the words to
Exactly.
describe what they're feeling because
Yeah.
we've not been taught all of this.
Yeah.
So even if they want to help themselves, they don't know how to voice what they're going through. We all struggle, all of us struggle. And just because someone has it worse off doesn't mean you don't have the right to struggle. Like pain and trauma are not graded on a bell curve. I read this really cool line by a psychologist. So today we're going to be talking about mental health with the Muktaa Mental Health Helpline. We have Dhriti and Divya. So I personally have struggled with mental health issues for a big part of my life. And initially when I did get ill, I wouldn't say ill, but when I was struggling, we didn't really have much information about what it was. So we didn't really know how to handle it properly. I'd just like to know more about what would you say mental health is, and what causes people to struggle with mental health issues. And there's another big question people have, because a lot of people are struggling, but given that it is so expensive, to get therapy, to get counseling, or even the fact that if you want to do therapy or counseling, you have to maybe have financial backing. You might have to ask help from family, but in our country there's so much of stigma attached to mental health. So how do such people then help them?
Your question has like a lot of sub questions to it. So firstly, I would start with the most basic one. What is mental health? So when we say mental health, people often think about therapy clinic or a psychiatric hospital, or else the first word that would come to someone's mind is ye pagal hai, right? But mental health is equal to your brain. If you have a brain, you have mental health, right? So mental health is just how you feel and what thoughts you have. It's as simple as that. So what are the factors that can affect mental health in a positive or in a negative way? I'm just going to list out a few things because it's very complex, right? It's like a puzzle. And so starting with, it could be your genes, your brain chemistry, your physical health, usage of drugs or alcohol. Again, negative thinking pattern could also affect your mental health. Having a supportive network or like a support system could also affect your mental health. Any childhood experience, big or small, could affect your mental health. It's like there are so many different things that could affect your mental health. We have a term for it, like it's a biopsychosocial. So bio, then there's a psychological part, and then there's a social part. And because there are so many factors that affect our mental health, everyone's mental health is different based on that. It's unique, I would say.
And so they look at it often in like physical terms. Okay, these are your problems. You're the reason that your mental health is poor. But slowly we're realizing that when you live in a society, in a community, it's not just you that's impacting your mental health. It's so many things around you, whether it's your, like they were saying, physical health, your mental or physical illness could impact. Like, let's say if you have a disability, how would that impact your mental health? Or if you have some sort of experiences social life wise, whether you're more exposed to, let's say, violence or substance abuse, even around you, not necessarily you, but your parents, your friends, how does that impact you? Or where do you stay? Is it clean? Is it safe? how much access do you have to mental health care, because some of the people who call the helpline are calling from very rural, very remote spaces where they don't even have access to, let's say, basic menstrual hygiene, or to go to a doctor they need to get permission from their father, their husband, and then they need transport to go like 260 kilometers away just to visit like a doctor who's really overburdened themselves. So all of these things of course do play into your mental health. So it becomes important that when you're looking at mental health, you're also taking all of these factors into account.
Like it's a sum total of the entire life you've lived. I personally have gone to different therapists, counselors, and it is fairly expensive. So to do it on a weekly basis or even a monthly basis when you are struggling, it is very difficult, and most people can't access it because of this cost. How can they improve their mental health if they don't have the money to? So you mentioned you have a helpline. How does one access it? And just please tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So we do have our mental health helpline, Muktaa Mental Health Helpline. It's free of cost mental health helpline, and we can put the number right here.
Free of
And
cost, guys,
yeah,
listen.
it's free of cost. And you can call our helpline from Monday to Saturday from 12 to 8 p.m. And that how difficult it is for people to reach out because of limited resources or lack of awareness as well. So we have trained counselors on our team, and yeah, we make it a point that we provide a non-judgmental space, a safe space for people to talk about everything, anything and everything that is bothering them. It could be pressures of life, navigating complex relationships, or any struggle that is bothering them. It's been very difficult for them. Anything that you want to talk about, they can call our helpline. And yeah, like our goal is to ensure that by the end of the session they feel heard, right? They feel heard, they feel that we had listened to them, we understood a little bit at least about what they are going through. So that's what we aim to do. And yeah, like anything that Dhriti would like to
That is
add.
amazing.
I mean, Nisa, I completely get where you're coming from in terms of the expenses, and especially when when you're looking for support, mostly either it's in situations where the crisis level is really high, or it's in situations where you feel like "Mere se ho jayega," like why should I open my dirty laundry for other people? So when you're already not convinced about seeking support, paying like 1,500, 2,000, it can go up to 4K also for a session becomes
okay for 40 minutes.
yeah. So it becomes a lot, and I think that like the whole agenda of setting this helpline up is that mental health care shouldn't just be for the privileged or for someone who can afford it. And that's the whole problem with the mental health care system itself, that all the tests, all the diagnosis is made for privileged white people. So we're trying to change that with the helpline and make it accessible to literally anyone. It doesn't matter whether, like, there are times when people call us and they don't even know what a helpline really does, what is mental health. So that is also a part of our helpline service, where we take you through what exactly you can expect out of the session. And I mean, of course it is free, but to make it even more like truly zero cost for someone, let's say, who doesn't even have like the telecom ka balance, because a 40-minute 50-minute session does can have a high phone bill. So we also have like a free callback service. So if someone can't afford it, they can just call us and tell us that, can you give me a call back, and we call them back. So there's that. And we have all sorts of people from, I think, ages of 14 to like 86 callers of different genders. Their issues can range from, like, there's a farmer who's having suicidal thoughts to like a school student who's struggling with like career issues. There are of course people who call us with body image issues, with anger, LGBTQIA plus concerns. So all of this is something that we do cover at the helpline. and we can also sort of provide continued support, so you can call on a weekly basis. So the point is not to really take over mental health care professionals at all, because currently the treatment gap is like 83% in India, which is huge. Like, we have way too much demand for mental health care support versus the professionals who can actually offer it. So this is just like one plug into trying to fill that gap, I think.
Yeah, but often think well-being as something that is physical or something related to fitness. But well-being is also on a deeper level, that is mental well-being, emotional well-being. So it's about how you feel from within, right? So for example, abhi it's raining here. I think it's raining there as well. So we often like we will wear a raincoat or we will carry an umbrella. But if we are feeling a little bit low, do we know what we are supposed to do? We don't, right? Because of the stigma, because of the fear, or
Where,
we
और
think,
वो कभी स्कूल में सिखाया भी नहीं है ना.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We're told to distract ourselves. That's what I've noticed. Like,
exactly.
just
Yeah.
get on with it.
Yeah, think positive.
Think positive. Exactly.
Oh
Just be
God, I
positive.
hate that one. Yeah. Like even when we are talking to our callers and they are telling us, okay, this happened and this is how they think about it. But when we ask how they feel about it, they don't know, don't even know how to put a, label on that particular emotion. And even if we know how we are feeling, it helps us understand.
It's like people don't have the words to
Exactly.
describe what they're feeling
Yeah.
because we've not been taught all of this.
Yeah,
So even if they want to help themselves, they don't know how to voice what they're going through.
exactly.
And the minute someone does start speaking, they're shamed. People shame them. Like, that's a very strong. It push it. I mean, we're made to feel whenever we question anything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That is
it's
so true.
bad. I've especially noticed that men struggle most because of this, because this whole idea that men can't and should not be vulnerable because that is against what they're supposed to be as men. So as if they fear being vulnerable, so they can't even talk about what they're going through. And the few times maybe when they do talk, let's say someone does shut them down, then that further makes them wall up, and then they just struggle and suffer silently.
Yeah, yeah. And to add that, we have about 60% callers who are male, right, Dhriti? 60 to
Yeah,
70% of them. So that actually proves your point that there's so much of judgment and there is a stereotype that men aren't supposed to feel or men aren't supposed to show vulnerability.
And it's almost as if even when they are feeling sad, they almost have to hide. Like, they can't show that they also cry, and that's fine, but it's almost as if they have to hide. They can't do it because what will people think?
The judgment, stigma. So a lot of times people are scared because, let's say, they go to a clinic or something and someone sees them there. That's also a fear, because you don't want someone to know that you're seeking mental health care support, and that's completely fine, because this is the society we live in right now. Which is why the helpline, like, you can access it from anywhere. You can go to a park and sit, you can call from office, you can call from home, and it's open from like 12 to 8. So it gives you a wide range of times where hopefully you're alone to call. And we don't ask for details, we don't ask you your name.
Again, most of them are men who are very apprehensive about whether they should take professional help, because they don't know. A lot of them have this notion. Someone actually put this question to me: what are your opinions on mental health? There's this whole notion of how it's, mental toughness is the way to go, and you're strong and strong people don't struggle, things of that sort, versus. And at the same time, there's this whole anti-mental health movement where people feel that people are just jumping onto this bandwagon because they want societal approval in a way. I feel
And
like
I get where that's coming
glorified.
from.
But I feel like because there's so much stigma attached to it, to get people to actually speak about it, the people who initially speak about it, you have to have a lot of courage, because you have to risk being belittled and demeaned by society. It was a concept which people didn't understand. So the people who do speak about it, more often than not, they're only doing so because they're trying to share their story. So in case you relate to it and you need help, you go and seek it. There's no need to suffer in silence. Like, there's no need, there's a way out of it. And that way does not involve you just burying things inside of you.
And I'm going to be the first person to say that mental health doesn't, I mean, looking after your mental health doesn't only have to be visiting like a mental health care professional. There's so many ways that even in therapy, malab, it's not like we're, stirring up some magic potions for you to drink and be okay, or handing out like pills or anything. Mental health, when you're visiting a professional, they're basically just giving you a space to talk about whatever it is that you're going through, and try to bring you back to your feelings, so that instead of directly acting on some negative feeling that you're having, you get a chance to pause and reflect on it and find out what works for you. There's so many ways that people can recharge. It could be physical fitness, it could be going out for a walk, it could be chai, anything.
And even like breathing deeply, that also helps. Just like
I agree.
breathe
All of those are
deeply.
good. Those are good ways of taking care of your mental health. But then again, they're not therapy.
Yeah, they're not
I
therapy.
can never compare to therapy from my personal experience. All of those are ways of looking after, like the hygiene rules, like ways you can improve it. But if you really you want things to truly get better, then therapy is the way to go. I believe at least.
So here I think I would like to see mental health on a spectrum where, it's not just that, okay, you have good or bad mental health. And good, first of all, good mental health doesn't mean you're happy all the time. No. Good mental health would mean that when shit things happen, you're able to, you have the resources, you know what to do. When you're angry, you know how to let it out. Maybe it's boxing, maybe it's going for a walk again, maybe it's venting to a friend. But yeah, so when someone lies on the green end of the spectrum where they have good mental health, then these things suffice, going exercising, or going for chai, or all the things that we were talking about should be good enough. And then as you go on the other end of the spectrum where it becomes more serious, is when of course you do need professional support at that end.
Why I demarcated it is because there's this whole again notion that the gym is therapy. So I just want to demarcate that no, it's not. And it could help you take care of your mental health. But if you're really struggling and if you want things to truly get better, then seek help. Just for
no, I get where you're coming from. I've seen so many of those posts: gym is my therapy, or my dog is my therapy, or travel is my therapy. It's a part of it.
There's this belief again. I feel like the more dissociated you are from yourself, the more you believe that this is what life is about. Now you just have to get on with it, which is what I was also doing with my exercise. In a way, I was using it as a coping mechanism. So this coping mechanism was helping me feel better. But I was only feeling better when I was doing that. And when I didn't do it, those days I felt like absolute shit, for the lack of better word. One point I realized that this is not the way to keep going on. All I'm doing is I'm abusing exercise. The same way people use drugs, the same way people use other coping mechanisms. This is what I'm doing with exercise. So whilst exercise is really good for your mental health, overusing it actually indicates that there is an issue.
Physical activity and exercise are really important for our mental health. It's like a trio group of best friends, like mental health, physical activity, and exercise. All of that go together. So yeah, like when we are exercising, I think we all know that our body releases happy hormones called endorphins.
Endorphins. Yes.
Yeah. So endorphins helps us regulate our mood, like our mood, as well as helps us sleep better. There's also a study which says that it can help us be more resilient.
When you set yourself a target that, okay, I'm going to exercise for 30 minutes today, and you actually do it, you start believing in yourself more. Along with that endorphins, you believe that you are capable of, setting targets and actually meeting them. So that belief in yourself remains with you. And the more you do of it, the more confident you feel. So it can greatly improve your confidence. Also, people will compliment you. That's another. But I would still like to say that I know it's important to have compliments and be validated by other people, but try to also work on it coming from within.
Yeah, and the good news is for, your happy hormones to kick in, you don't need to like, run like 5 kilometers or pick up like, I don't know what,
Yeah,
200 lbs, like just small amounts of
very simple.
activity also like show results in terms of depression, anxiety as well. So
Yeah, so don't be overwhelmed. Don't think you have to do these crazy things. You really don't. As Dhriti mentioned, it can be something really simple. But do ensure that you're getting some movement in.
But also, I would also point out that people assume, or people have this perception that you have to really be good at working out or exercising to actually, reap those
Monitor.
benefits. But it could be as simple as, like Dhriti said previously, going for a walk, or secretly dancing in your room. As long as you're moving your body,
Mhm.
it's like you're like getting all the benefits. And on our helpline, whenever our callers, we are having this discussion on the call, we always talk about what is your happy move. So we discover with them what kind of a physical activity can make you smile, can make you take a break from your constant thoughts, and something that you can put easily in your daily routine, not something that is too heavy. Because when you are feeling low, you don't want something too difficult to deal with, right? Something that's going to take more of your brain power.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we always like discuss and explore together what could be your happy move.
True. Exercising for your health, it is very important to exercise for your health.
Yeah.
So the general guidelines that they give is try to exercise for 30 minutes 5 times a week. Um, and it doesn't have to be high intensity or something that you're really great at. As Divya mentioned, if you can just go for a walk,
Yeah.
if you like dancing, dance. A lot
Hmm.
of men, they love playing football and cricket. Those are great.
mhm.
And that's a
Yeah.
great way of connecting with your friends as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
encourage you to exercise for sure.
Yeah. And I'm also curious how, like, to know how you see your fitness journey tie in with your mental health.
Uh, probably the wrong person to ask, but because I'm just going to be very honest about the way things are now. So a lot of people in extreme sport and fitness, they're not healthy. That's another perception we have, that the more fitter the person is, the healthier they are. That's
Mhm.
not true.
Mhm.
Often it's the opposite, because you are subjecting your body to a lot of stress and load, and it can't recover from it. So what I do acknowledge is that it did help me with my mental health for sure. It helped me feel a lot better, because I was what would be termed as clinically depressed, and it gave me some purpose and some motivation. But then when I think that, I started realizing that exercise is helping me feel better, and people are literally appreciating me for it, because this is something that they're not
Mhm.
used to usually seeing. So because I didn't know any moderation, again, I feel someone who lacks emotional maturity or is struggling with larger issues which they're not aware of, they don't know what moderation is. So
Mhm.
okay, more is better, because this is helping me feel better. People are also liking me better.
Mhm.
More is better, and then it went into more and more and more, to the point where nothing was ever enough. Nothing I was ever doing was enough,
Mhm.
and that too was just this crippling feeling of, I don't know, this I had fear, so much of fear, paranoia, and my health also really got affected because of it, because I didn't know how to moderate myself, and now I'm learning how to do that. So I'm
Mhm.
also seeking help otherwise, and trying to have a more healthier approach to this entire fitness journey, wherein I'm working
Mhm.
out for my health, not for extreme performance, or not for aesthetics, or not for people to be like,
Mhm.
oh, this girl is so cool. So
I
that's why,
disagree that you're, Nisa, I disagree that you're the wrong person to ask this question to, because I think this is matlab,
yeah,
a very prominent issue in the fitness industry.
yeah,
Matlab, of course, for the trainers also, and for people who are coming in. Like most of the people who come in, they want like a certain body shape when they're, joining a fitness class.
I feel like a lot of it is because of this lack of self acceptance. We feel like we're fundamentally defective, and if we change how we look, we will be better. And we do get external validation when we do change how we look. But at the same time, there's still the shame inside of us. So we don't truly ever feel better. We're always anxious. We're always fearful. So a lot of people in fitness struggle with body dysmorphia. They say that the fitter you get or the more aesthetic you get, the more you struggle with body dysmorphia. Then again, it's because you're playing around with what you're eating, your hormones. All of that is affected to feeling low. If your hormones aren't working the way they're meant to, you're going to feel low a lot. You're going to feel very anxious. You're going to not be able to see yourself the way you actually are. So that's something I experienced, but I just got so good at discipline. Discipline again is promoted as self-love, but I believe that discipline is important, but discipline taken to another limit is self-hatred. Like you hate yourself so much that you need to just keep changing yourself, because nothing is ever enough. And it leads to a lot of body dysmorphia, disorderly eating disorders. I've actually experienced an eating disorder when I was younger. This is when I was 15. At that time, we had no knowledge of what mental health is, what eating disorders are. And it happened to me. So my family saw it firsthand, and we didn't know how to deal with it. And I didn't know either. They didn't understand why I'm being so difficult. To clarify, I had anorexia, and it was like a very, very severe case of anorexia. So.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I feel like, as someone with such a large following, there are, of course, certain expectations that are put on you. And there is, I mean, you always benefit from people seeing you as the god of fitness and, invincible sort of a thing. So it takes a lot of courage to talk about it. And I think, we do, all of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves to like look a certain way. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, many people go into this world of fitness with like dreams of sculpting their body, the perfect body that they have seen on social media. On social media or magazines. And
they think that people, sorry to interrupt, like for example, a lot of guys have this question that, oh, if I get a six-pack, I'll get a girl. Think that, oh, life ban jayegi, ladki mil jayegi, life ban jayegi. But if this person just values you for that and not for who you actually are as an individual, then that person isn't good for you. The sort of people you will also attract will be the people who value you just for how you look. And you're doing yourself such a disservice because you're so much more than how you look.
And this is not at all to negate the fact that, of course, exercise does make you feel good about your body. It makes you confident about the way you move. But I wish that, like as an industry, if, fitness could be looked at in that sense, in a way that, you're trying to just automatically build like a better body image. Because when you show these, the body types that all of us like can immediately think of, okay, I wish I had that, they're also discouraging a lot of people from exercising. Because let's say someone doesn't look a certain way, they wouldn't want to choose to go to a gym or in public and exercise. And then you lose that social, support that you get when you're exercising.
It's just a difficult issue because either side of it is not very good. We need to be somewhere in the middle. And a lot of people, honestly, people who the regular population looks up to, while they're incredibly fit, while they're extremely disciplined, they're so disciplined that they will do things when they're injured, when they're sick, when they don't feel like they're very, very hardworking. But maybe there shouldn't be a standard for you to try and emulate if you want to be healthy. So just to have this distinction between fitness and health. I think especially for females, again, it's a controversial topic because not to say that females can't, we definitely can. We push ourselves to limits which are maybe not healthy for us. When women do pursue, let's say, fitness to an extreme level, or they're really obsessed with how they look, they can their health will get really negatively impacted by it. So they can lose their menstrual cycles, they can have irregular menstrual cycles, they can have a lot of menstrual irregularities, which is linked to your bone health, your heart health, your brain health. So a lot of you gets unhealthy, and then that further contributes to this low feeling.
Yeah.
So it sort of becomes like a vicious cycle.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we do have to look at our health holistically. So there is mental health and there is physical health. So both of it has to go together. So of course, one affects another. And coming back to the body issues point, there is actually a statistics where in India there are 3 women out of 4 who experience body image issues. That's approximately 77%. And surprisingly, there are around 40% of men who also have body image issues. So it's not just a gender thing.
To end it, guys, try to be healthy. So ensure that you're in the healthy range for your weight as well as your body fat. Of course, being slightly above is okay, but just ensure that you're being healthy, you're eating nutritious foods. So that also is really linked to mental health. Try not to eat very processed foods. These highly palatable processed foods, they aren't very great for you. Try to eat home cooked whole foods, enough omega-3s, enough protein, enough of these micronutrients, which you're probably missing out when you're eating these processed foods. So try to eat healthy, exercise, stick to that. If you're hitting 5 times a week, 30 minutes a day, that's good enough, and you'll be good.
Yeah, and focus on what your body can do instead
Yeah.
of what you want it to do.
Focus on what it can do, and it's so cool. Like, it does these amazing things for us. We should just be proud of it, regardless of whether it looks chiseled or not.
You know, when you're feeling alone or a little lost or overwhelmed, it can be about anything. It could be, you decide, like, if it's small or big is up to you. But at that time, I think the helpline can be like a listening ear, a space to get help or just some extra support when you're going through a tough time, and you can talk freely. You don't have to worry about someone judging you or telling your friends or family. And yeah, when you put your feelings into words, it just helps you pause a little bit, reflect, instead of immediately like taking some actions that you might regret in the future. And I think the helpline can also teach you just a little bit about looking inwards to your emotions, give you a few coping skills to face your fears or whatever it is that you're going through, and just find some small baby steps that can help you, like, you know, with any problem that you're facing. So call us and let's figure it out together.
Some days when you don't feel that motivated or you're not, up to that, you can call our helpline and we're here to talk about it all, like from the pressure to look a certain way to feeling a bit insecure when you're sweating it all out in the gym. We are not here to tell you how your body should look like, right? And we can explore together which physical activities are more enjoyable for you, and that help you find joy in being active and supporting you in building like a good and healthy relationship with your body.